There's a lot in CSGO that's iconic. Device and crying, and also winning, but crying. Simple and being toxic, and being amazing at the game, but being toxic. Fallen, being the godfather of Brazilian CS, and having more faces than a Game of Thrones deity from Bravos. And you know what else? Thorin and banter, but not just Thorin and banter. Thorin and gamer subs. And what about this iconic shaker they made of me for my Thorin's thoughts? A little bit of flame there. I'm saying some expletive. Pretty cool, right? Obviously, this was a limited time run. And you know what else is a limited time run at gamer subs? We'll look at the overlay. For the next 24 hours, if you're quick, you can get 20% off a gamer subs order, not the usual 10, with my code Thorin, Thorin, at gamersubs.gg. I would recommend flavors like guacamole gamer 9000, it's actually strawberry and lime, or the citrus lemonade is a delicious one, really tangy. Dragon fruit punch, I always say. If you want to go a little bit weird, maybe go for something like sour apple or blue raz. If you want something chill, watermelon ice, blueberry acai or acai, I've been told to say. Right, major graffitis in CSGO are to celebrate iconic moments. In fact, you see the graffiti, it makes you instantly remember the moment. You're right back there, you experience it again in a way that maybe over time, you'd have forgotten some of it, or you'd forgotten where that event was, etc. Like, I've remembered clips that I thought, like, that could be a graffiti, and I'm like, nah, that wasn't actually a major. It's always hard to put where some of these are. So, obviously, there are a whole bunch currently in the game. Like, I counted them up. There are 7 currently in the game from the majors. I'll go in order. The first one is the Olafmeister Molotov diffuse, where he just burns alive in the diffuse to get it in Game 2 of the ESL 1 Cologne 2014 semi-final versus Dignitas from Fnatic with Olafmeister. This was only a second event in Fnatic. It was on Overpass. This was the map that they won to go 2-0 over Dignitas, who looked really strong at this event, and they went to the major final. They didn't end up win the major, but this was like a game. It was 14-14. It was a really big moment. It wasn't that amazing a thing, but it was obviously iconic and memorable. So it got its own graffiti, same like with burning alive with wings or whatever. Then at the same tournament, you had the Freiburg like Via Adamo sign on Inferno, which gets put at the bottom of the banana, which is from NIP, winning ESL 1 Cologne 2014 in the final. And the third map was Inferno. There was a really key round where Freiburg just fragged his way up, like the ultimate entry frag round, all the way up the banana and through the sights, got all the kills he needed. And also, generally, he was the king of banana on both sides of it, right? So this was just a way to celebrate him. A lot of people don't actually know about that one. Then there was another Olafmeister one, same year. This was from DreamHack Winter 2014, the Olaf boost, the notorious Olaf boost, from Game 3 of the quarterfinals. And it was against LDLC, the number 2 team in the world. Fnatic was number 1 in the world. Fnatic had beaten them all the time, so it looked like they were going to lose finally. It was on Overpass. The old version before it got reworked, and they did that crazy boost that was even better than the one LDLC did. Everyone forgets about that. And he could see right over into water, and he had a scout, and he was getting all the kills. So there's obviously one of the boost there. Then the next year, they have the Fnatic Orps that were on like Dust 2, which were against Apex in Game 1 of the Cologne 2015 final, where it was Fnatic against Envious. This is the Envious that had just swapped to Kenny S and Apex from Titan, taking out Shocks and Smiths. It was obviously a key round. I think it was like an overtime round or something. And this was a map that actually was supposed to be won by Envious, and then they were going to be in a good position, potentially, to go to the third map at least, maybe even have a chance at the second map, even though that ended up going badly. So this was the famous one where we all saw it from like the Apex side. He peaked CT up mid, because it's like whatever, last round or of regulation or something, and everyone has a fucking AWP on Fnatic, and he just sees, it's one of those classic, like, this is the moment when he knew he fucked up. And he just sees like 4 AWPs look at him, and he just dies instantly. It's like a classic moment everyone knows. Then you had from the next year, that was from 2015. Yeah, the next year you had the Cold Zero jumping AWP no scopes, which was in Game 1 of the MLG Columbus semi-finals against Team Liquid, with Team Liquid at map point on Mirage. Famously, Fallen just supposedly said, like, you know, just buy whatever you want and do what you want. Cold Zero bought a glass cannon AWP, just did these jumping shots, doubled on the first one, got another one, killed another guy, and it was obviously one of the all-time great DDK calls. Totally classic moment. He got the graffiti on the wall with the AWP and the wings on it, which Cold Zero actually, I think because of MLG paying, then got tattooed on himself, which by the way, it's simple, then copied the meta of getting it tattooed on your body. Although this one for Cold Zero looked way cooler. Not that I'd get anything CSGO related tattooed on my body for that matter. So then from the next major It was indeed Simple's turn. He had his own no-scopes, which were from Game 2 of the ESL1 Clone 2016 semi-final against Fnatic on Cash. Fnatic was actually looking like they were just going to win this map, and then if they had it done, I would have had them to win the series and go to the final against SK. Simple pulls off one of the most ridiculous clips ever. A lot of luck involved, but it's simple. He can just do those things. And it was one of those moments in the Lanxess, it just blew things up, mate. It was such an incredible moment. I remember thinking in that moment, like, this guy's going to be the GOAT. He's going to play for Na'Vi, and basically no one can stop him. And you know what? I was right on that. Then you had the next year, Dorsey's Holy Grenade, or 200 IQ or 500 IQ grenade, whatever you want to call it, that was in the deciding Game 3 of the PGL Krakow 2017 final of Gambit against Immortals on Inferno. He does a nade into the pit onto the saving T's as like a CT pulling out or whatever the fuck. And it gets like a few kills because it does some damage to the players. And back then, the way the bomb exploded, it actually killed some people. I think maybe killed 2 people, which is like key for the economy at this point in time. Hence, it was like the 500 IQ grenade. Even though, yes, me and Richard think that, like, probably someone told me to do that. I don't know if he actually thought it himself. Piece of trivia. There also, bizarrely, is some from a show match on the map Black Site, which was from like some Katowice show match that ESL did, where Furlan and Grubby of AGO, also played in many other Polish teams like Kingwin and stuff, they, after a show match where they killed Sponge and JKS, they just got one on this like Black Site wall. Who gives a fuck about that? It's obviously nothing to do with the major, just a piece of trivia for you there. Now, these, you notice, these graffitis go from 2014 to 2017. We didn't have anything for the first major, and we had nothing since 2017, and it's 2022 now, guys. We've had a whole bunch more majors. The problem is, like a lot of Valve initiatives, they're just giving up on it. Whoever did that just don't care anymore, or they just don't follow the game enough, or, I mean, I can't think it's possible, but they don't think there was any iconic moments. There was definitely some way more iconic moments than that. And some of those moments aren't necessarily so crazy. They've also been made iconic by the graffiti, like the nade, who really gives a shit on that one, or the Molotov defuse, for that matter. Not even like Fnatic won that event, by the way. So I would like some more added. I actually think it is a cool initiative, and it is really awesome that you kind of make this memory point in history that we can all go back to and see even when we play and go, oh yeah, it was that classic moment. So I think some of the old ones were overrated, and like, especially the AWPs one, like, come on, man. Really? Who gives a shit about that one? The Freiburg one doesn't even really intuitively tell you like what it's about. Like, it's actually a bit too subtle as a pretty good one, right? Even as a graffiti. And it's not really graffiti, it's like a sign on the wall, right? So I have some suggestions for almost every, I think I got every single major. And the idea, remember, it's not the team that wins the major, not the best player at the major, it's just an iconic moment. And you remember all these moments if you watch these majors. So I think I've nailed most of the iconic moments. So from the first major, DreamHack Winter 2013, I would have one from the deciding map of the final. And it was, I didn't look this up off from memory, I think it was Schneider from Fnatic, who were massive underdogs against an IP, who was, I think he just ducks behind that barrel on the old version of Train against Get Right on the pistol, and Get Right like doesn't spot him when he's going past Get Right, who's amazing at clutches on pistols. And this is a key round. It basically sets them up to just win the game. And it was a massive underdog match. So I actually think in this particular one, that would be a classic one. Basically, you don't have to have the same spot. Like, obviously, we reworked Train. You could just put something on like a train nearby, like him hiding behind a barrel. You could have like Solid Snake hiding under a box, or you could have something on the floor around the spot where he was, because obviously a reworked map at this point. But that was really like the key iconic moment of that major. Then I think what a lot of people are going to agree with is, for EMS on Katowice 2014, the next major, just put one for Snax on Mirage at that sneaky area from game 1 of the final when he was against Nip, where he goes up the stairs, he sneaks behind, and he gets those crazy kills off. That was the key player, right? Basically the most iconic Snax player. I mean, I know he did the Big Apple one later, but that wasn't a major. Like, I think this was the player that everyone remembers from that particular major. Then, from ESL Katowice 2015, I thought you should have the Get Right hacks move at Gandalf, where he was, I would just put it on the Gandalf, like maybe have like a wizard on the front of the box getting shot in the head through a box or something weird like that. And basically it's the one where they were against TSM in the quarterfinals. A lot of people aren't going to know this. They actually were supposed to lose to TSM at this point in time. TSM looked like they had their number and did a number of times elsewhere in the year. This was a map that TSM was going to win. They were amazing on Just 2. It's a key one that Nip managed to steal it. And this was a really big round. And basically, it was only possible because Alu like come to Get Right. Like, you can hack that spot or whatever, and then just realised the guy behind that last guy was hiding behind there, and he just shot him with the AWP, picked up the AWP and shot him with it through the wall. I think that was a classic moment. Even though the SNIP went to the final and lost, that was a key moment. They probably wouldn't have been in the final otherwise. Who knows? It might have been Envious that went to the final because they had a classic matchup against TSM. Would have played in the semi-finals. Then for E-League Atlanta, the 2017 one. I have Glaive, I think should have like a speech bubble where he's just saying like a Tech 9, basically there's a Tech 9 in it, and put it somewhere on train, because if people remember in game 3 of the final against VP, Astralis is down big and they're on T-side train. This is a map that can be CT-sided for teams a lockdown team, and VP was a very good train team. They're down 7-13, and he calls this Tech 9 rush that they do like a split outer that they pull off with Tech 9s and win the round. You can get the kills, and that just turns the whole game, allows them to come back and win their first ever major. This is a team that used to choke before they got Glaive. So I think that's a classic one. Again, you can change how the Graffiti would be, but I think this is the moment you'd try and highlight. From the next E-League major, E-League Boston, I would do, at the new box, Stewie3k famously did that 3k hold to stop the plant, but a lot of people don't know this detail. He only had 3 bullets in his gun, he hadn't reloaded the AWP, and 3 people did rush him, and he got all 3 kills, including one on the planter. So what I would do is, I would do something like, on the new box behind, or on the floor behind, I would just write Stewie2k, and then I'd cross out 2 with a cross, and I'd put a 3 above it, like scratched in. I think that would be a fucking cool as fuck one, right? There's a good one for the team that went on to win that major. That was obviously in the Boston final against FaZe. It was in game 3. This was like to stop FaZe just winning in regulation, who had championship point, and he only had 3 bullets left in his gun. I think that's, by the way, one of the most deserving of all the Graffitis here. One that's a bit more questionable, because Kovacevicd 2019 didn't really have the big iconic moments. So I thought one that would be a decent one, because everyone remembers it when I say it, would be the simple almost 4K on Mirage. And game 3, so the third map of the Kovacevicd 2019 semi-final against Ents, who was a massive underdog. And this could basically have put Na'Vi in position to go to the final, which obviously on paper they should have done. And everyone would have got to see another game, obviously rematch of the last major final, Simple against the Astralis team. And this is when Simple was super duper god mode. And so it would have been so cool. Simple almost did it. I don't know how you'd do this one. Maybe you'd have him like a goat, like chucking a rifle to his side and picking up an AWP or something. I don't know what it would be. You can figure out what it was. Maybe a whiff symbol or something, like whiffy lines or something. You can figure out the angle, but that would be the iconic play. Then one I think, it's one of the main reasons I made this video, I think an absolute lock Graffiti has got to be Device getting the triple USP headshots with 3 bullets, and I think 3 bullets in his USP, in game 1 of the Starladder 2019 semi-final against NRG on train in the pistol round. Now, the reason this is so key is because they'd already just upset Team Liquid, had Astralis, to make the semis, and they were playing NRG, who'd beaten them a bunch of times before, including at this tournament in best of 3, and would go on to beat them right afterwards, ESL New York in best of 3 and a best of 5. And this map, Train, was one that Astralis didn't really like that much, but it was one that was kind of like a bit of a canny map for the guys from NRG who later became Avial Genius. It was Stanislaw and all those guys, Breeze and Cirque. This was a map that, if they got going, and I think they had even won it like OT or something in the same tournament, they could be really good on this map. And this would have been a difference maker in this series. But winning this one gave Astralis sort of the cushion, and this started it the perfect way, CT side train. This is just an unreal clip from Device. Obviously, they go on to win that major. I think he was even the MVP. PGL Stockholm, we have to skip all those years later. Look, this is a tough one, I will say, but I think the obvious iconic moment, I know it's a bit mean, but just the iconic moment, I would put basically like something like, as you're climbing the ladder to go up to the upper area on Nuke, I'm going to take this from the final of G2 with Nico against Na'Vi when G2 was at map point to win the second map and stop Na'Vi going to bring the game back and maybe go to a third map, which I think would have been Mirage, I think, which would have been a fucking amazing map, by the way. And by the way, it probably should have been the map picked before. I think it was Mirage the decider was. What I would have said was, I would put something like, as you're going up, maybe on the wall, or maybe as you go up and you look up to the ceiling, I would put something like, warning while carrying dangerous items or something, or imprecise weapons. Let's put some line like that. And then, obviously, it's to reference the Deagle whiff from Nico, isn't it? Like, I'd have some cheeky little line, because it is the iconic play, let's be real. And then the last one, and I also think this should come, if you think of some of the other ones that already exist in the game, I think there needs to be one for the PGL Antwerp final of FaZe winning in Game 3 against Na'Vi on Nuke. It's got to be to do with Rain. I would put it in the secret room on Nuke on CT side, because he had such a godlike performance. He was killing everyone there. I would do something like on the wall, as you come into secret, because he hid in that spot and killed the guys as they were about to go down the stairs. I would on the wall do something like, have the stylized raindrops like this going diagonally, but maybe within them have like the word, like make it almost like a watermark, like MVP, in the rain, so it's like MVP rain, and then it's just showering down on like 3 teas, like 3 skulls of teas or something like that. Because he was obviously wrecking them all with his M4A1S, wasn't he? So that would be the one I would do there. That's the iconic play, the iconic thing that you remember about that major. He was the MVP of the major, and it's a pretty stacked team that went on to become one of the all-time great teams, and it's his first ever major that he won. So I think the major graffitis are a big deal. I think they were super cool. I hope Valve brings them back. Celebrate iconic moments. Make sure every fan, even new fans, know what these moments are. Think about sports and all the great moments that you can all remember. The immaculate reception, or whatever it was called in NFL, the drive, the helmet catch. In NBA, you got the LeBron block, and then the Kyrie shot against the Warriors. You got the Jordan shot over Russell in Game 6 in the Jazz 98. Got the Kobe shot against the Suns in Game 4, 2006. In NHL, you've got the Yager goal against the Blackhawks in the 1992 Stanley Cup Final. It's just a brilliant way to celebrate the great players, the iconic moments, whether they won or lost, and make sure everyone understands how awesome the history of this game is.
Hey, it's simple, you're watching Thorin channel. Shut the fuck up, you fucking bitch.
This video was kindly supported by Ahmed Hadjou, Hades GOUD, Matt Pugnatio Rajcula, Adam Ochs, Animosity, Bot Pounder 420, Jensen Goh, Kovacevicd, Pacy, Tobias Bernasconi, Tosh, Thooorin, and as always, a special thanks goes out to my main man, Jerky's Minion. Would you like to suggest a topic or a guest for my content? Would you like to ask a question in one of those monthly AMAs where sometimes I roast people? Do you want teasers to find out who the guests are for upcoming shows and interviews I'm doing? Maybe you want to be part of one of those cool, lengthy esports discussions that I have. Well, if any of those perks sound tantalizing to you, put your money where your mouth is and join the Skrilluminati today, where? Via the Patreon link in the description box below.